Hi, I'm Seb Maley from Qdos, and today we're going to be looking at the second wave of COVID and how that might potentially affect contractors. Well, a second wave will naturally have an impact on contractors in the same way it will the general population. I think everyone hoped that the pandemic was under control and that things would gradually get back to some sort of normality. So the increase in cases has really renewed that feeling of uncertainty, particularly as there's obviously no end date to all of this. In some cases, projects may well be stopped, but I think at the same time, a lot of businesses are realising that they can't put things on hold forever. I'm not a fan of the phrase "the new normal," but companies are adapting and working out ways of operating under the current conditions. Obviously, the wider economic conditions will also have an impact, but I think whilst the first lockdown caused a general hiatus in almost all sectors, a second wave will have less of an impact as people get to grips with how to persevere. Well, I think the government have been quite careful not to restrict the ability to work and to travel for work with the new tier system. Obviously, the general message is to still work remotely if you can, and a lot of contractors are very well equipped to do that, and I'll be hopeful that any local measures won't have too much of an impact. Well, we've recently seen the details of the new versions of both the Job Retention Scheme and the Self-Employed Income Support Scheme, which will take effect from November. Limited company contractors who paid themselves in dividends were effectively excluded from the first round of measures, and unfortunately it's the same situation again this time around. There has been an increasing amount of pressure for the government to acknowledge the 3 million or so people who receive little or no assistance, but it seems like it's been in vain and we're unlikely to get any more movement on it. There's no doubt that both permanent and contract hiring has stalled significantly over the last few months for obvious reasons. Things are far better than they were back in May though, and hopefully confidence will continue to return. Contractors and other temporary flexible workers are going to be vital for companies as they start to rebuild and refocus their operations over the next few months. It goes without saying that COVID is going to change the way in which many people work, and we're already seeing signs of fairly major transformation projects for large organisations which are heavily reliant on contractors. I think this is really going to be a common theme. So obviously the changes to IR35 happening during such a pivotal period is certainly unhelpful. Whether there will be a further delay to the reform is a question we are being asked on a daily basis at the moment. The short answer is that we still think it's very unlikely. The legislation is in the finance bill and has received royal assent, and it would take something fairly dramatic for it to be delayed again. Obviously, the other major factor is that the government need all the funds they can get at the moment, and the tax take from the off-payroll changes has been budgeted at £1.2 million in the first year. It's obviously very difficult to predict what's going to happen over the next few months, but we are advising businesses to assume that the changes are going to go ahead and to prepare accordingly. A huge amount of HMRC's resources have been focused on the support schemes of COVID over the last few months, with a lot of their normal compliance activity being paused. As we come out of that, I'd be very surprised if HMRC are not very aggressive with compliance activity, both in relation to the furlough scheme, but also other areas, including IR35. They'll be under a lot of pressure to raise tax revenue, and I think they will be eyeing the off-payroll landscape post-April 21 as a key target. Thanks for watching. We're obviously speaking to contractors on a daily basis about issues like this, so if you do have any questions, please feel free to get in touch with the team.